Welcome, all you sinners and sodomites, to episode 36 of Bible Stories for Atheists. I am Josh.
I'm Linz.
And we are your guides to the sacredly sadistic stories, literally, littering the Bible. Yep. We are wrapping up Job.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, this was not a great book to read, but it was kind of fascinating what comes up in this.
I mean, it really puts to test my understanding of why people believe in the Bible.
Yeah, it really does. Because we start getting into like
Weird
mythology.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, like straight up the kind of stuff that you hear about Greeks and Romans,
Right.
stuff like that. And this is canon for
Yeah.
Christianity
Yeah.
and Judaism.
The stuff that collectively as a society we have all decided isn't real because it's Greek and Roman mythology,
Yeah,
except that it also exists in the Bible.
right,
And we're all okay. Well, not all of us. We don't
Yeah.
believe in the Bible, but
right.
we're all okay with that.
Yeah. And most people don't even fucking realize it's there
Right.
because it's buried in poetic bullshit.
Nobody wants to read.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to bring up is I'm dropping Twitter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because fuck Elon Musk.
Fuck Elon Musk. You know, who knows what's going to happen by the time this episode actually drops. But at the time of recording, at least, Trump just got reinstated to Twitter.
Yeah.
And I kind of said that's going to be the trigger to just drop Twitter. So we're going to set that account inactive. By the time this comes out, I will have already done it. I'm working on getting a subreddit set up for us, and that will be the new thing. So go to reddit.com/r/Bible Atheists for the official Bible Stories for Atheists subreddit. Post on there and
Yes.
talk with other
Josh
people.
is on Reddit all the time. So if
Yeah.
you want some like one-on-one interaction with Josh,
Yeah,
then that's the place to be.
that's true. Yeah.
He spends more time there than he does with me.
Yeah, I don't know where everybody is on social media at this point because it sure shit isn't Facebook anymore, and it's not Twitter because like really there's just not a lot of people actually on Twitter,
Right.
unless you're some sort of public figure.
Mhm.
And I guess it's
Where
Instagram,
are the kids
but
these
yeah,
days? I don't even
guess
think it's Instagram. I mean,
it's
Instagram
TikTok.
is still popular. TikTok's big.
Yeah.
Like all the kids use Discord. and
Discord,
stuff,
yeah.
Too.
Which we could do something with that too, but I really don't want to do a chat thing.
We're
really.
old.
Yeah, I just like leave a message. I'll get to it when I get to it.
We
you
have
know?
an answering machine.
Right.
Call our landline.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm hoping that a bunch of people who listen to this might also be on Reddit, and if so, you can jump on there.
If not, email us. The contact is on the website.
Yes, you can go to the contact form on the website and reach out to us that way at any time.
Like the podcast on Apple Podcasts. If you listen to it through Apple Podcasts, rate us 5 stars. Leave a nice
Rate and leave a comment.
little message.
Yeah.
If you want to rate us less than 5 stars, then don't.
Then just don't.
Just don't. Just ignore us
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. And if you're on Spotify,
Just listen to us on
Just
Spotify.
listen.
They
Just
don't
listen.
have a rating system
I don't think
there.
they do.
No.
So strap in, strap on for episode 36. Winter's coming, and so is God.
Reference
get the
to,
job done.
Like hand jobs or blow jobs or foot jobs or knee jobs or
An ear job.
armpit jobs or other various crevices penises can be put into.
Yeah. Belly button job.
Oh, that would be a weird one.
As opposed to half those other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like why?
Yeah.
I guess, but that one could say that.
You can say that about anything.
I was going
really.
to say one could also say that about buttholes, but men
Yeah.
seem super keen on using those for things.
For things. All kinds of things.
All kinds of storage units. And
Yeah.
various other accoutrements.
Accoutrement. Previously on BSFA, God made a bet with Satan that Job would stay loyal no matter what. No matter what Satan. Ugh, God, motherfucker.
Are you in it? Are you in it today?
I am not in it today.
Oh.
This is going to be previously on BSFA.
Do you want me to read it?
No, I got it.
Okay.
God made a bet with Satan that Job would stay loyal no matter what Satan did to him.
Right.
So he killed Job's family, livestock, and servants. Then 3 of Job's friends showed up to console him by telling him he's a sinner and that he must have been, and that must have been why God did this to him. But we know that's not the case. We know that there's absolutely no reason God is doing this to him.
Other than he's like
his own
having
power
a dick
trip.
Showing contest with Satan.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's what's happening.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Let's not forget the sores. He didn't just kill all of his family and cattle and servants. He also gave him festering sores.
Right. Which he
made
himself with a potsherd
and made his breath offensive to his wife.
Right. Yeah. His nagging wife.
His nagging wife who
that just wants him to
just go kill yourself.
Yeah, just curse God and die.
Yeah. The ancient equivalent of like, go kill yourself.
Right. And then all his friends show up, quote unquote friends show up, telling him he's a horrible person.
Right.
In poetry.
Yes. But
poetic form.
All right. But we gotta step back from that and realize that they're also attempting to come to terms to why this would be happening to him.
Right. With
them knowing the type of person that he is. So the only answer must be he did sin, because why else?
Except we know he didn't.
Right. We know he didn't.
Oh, but that's their line of reasoning.
Because so if you were one of them and this dude that you know, say you have one of those holier than thou friends.
Yeah.
Right. Who actually is holier than thou. Most of them aren't. If you have a holier than thou friend, most of the time, not the case, actually. But say you actually had one who was, and then all this bad stuff started happening to him, and you also believed in God, the only answer must be, well, he must have done something.
Right. Well, God is testing him. Whatever the fuck that means.
Right.
Why God tests people at all doesn't make any sense. Anyway, this Job would be great if it wasn't for the fucking customers.
Claps for a Kevin Smith reference.
Right. And just to remind folks, I'm sure you've probably listened to the last episode, I pre-recorded myself reading some of the scriptures just because it's a little bit better than when I try and do it as we go. So
Josh he's less performative under pressure. So with me sitting here literally staring at him.
Yeah. Make it interesting, Josh. That's the eyes she gives me. It's boring. I'm falling asleep, Josh.
All right. That second half might actually be true.
Yeah. That's just normal for you.
It is.
We get to Job's final words with his friends. So they were going back, if you remember, they were going back and forth with each other poetically.
Saying the same thing.
Yeah, basically over and over again.
Words.
Yeah, over and over again. And we get to Job's final words to his friends, and it's him basically taking chapters 27 through 31 to lay out why he's not a bad guy, that he loved God, and asking stoner questions like, where does understanding live? I don't know where.
In the brain, I'm pretty sure is where.
I think it's on Sesame Street. This episode is brought to you by the number understanding. Sorry. Then in Job 32, we find out that apparently there's been this 5th guy just standing there while Job talked to his friends. The 5th guy is a young man named Elihu, and he is pissed at Job, quote, for justifying himself rather than God, unquote, and pissed at Job's friends for not doing a better job of refuting him.
Do we get to know anything about him? Do they say, like, is he a servant?
Nope.
Is that why he's just, so him and 3 friends were just sitting around being sad and emo and trying to figure out why shit was happening. And this dude's just standing by.
Shows up.
listening.
Yeah. And it doesn't even show up. It's as if he was there the whole time and was never mentioned. So really, it's just poor writing.
Yeah.
Really, it's just this extra character just showing up.
Right.
And really, what's kind of interesting is it's presenting slightly different arguments than what we've heard so far.
Sure. Okay.
Is basically the role of this character. And he starts off with what might be my favorite Bible verse. I am young in years and you are old. That is why I was fearful, not daring to tell you what I know. I thought age should speak, advanced years should teach wisdom, but it is the spirit in a person, the breath of the Almighty that gives them understanding. It is not only the old who are wise, not only the aged who understand what is right, which I think is true.
Yeah. I think that's been proven manyfold over.
Right. Yeah. Especially over the last couple of years. Yeah.
and just knowing the old people that I know, your mother excluded, but not mine.
I don't think she listens to the podcast anyway.
No.
So then he goes on, but not one of you has proved Job wrong. None of you has answered his arguments. Do not say, we have found wisdom. Let God, not a man, refute him. But Job has not marshaled his words against me, and I will not answer him with your arguments. Why do you complain to him that he responds with no one's words? For God does speak now one way, now another, though no one perceives it, in a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls on people as they slumber in their beds. He may speak in their ears and terrify them with warnings. For God does speak now one way, now another, though no one perceives it. So basically saying, God does speak to us, but he keeps changing how he speaks to us.
Oh, not what he's saying to us, just how he's delivering the message.
Well, he might change what he's saying too, but that's why it's hard to perceive what God is saying. Because
sometimes it's on Twitter.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's on the news.
Truth Social.
Sometimes it's like through your neighbor talking about his catheter.
Right. Yeah. Going on and on about the catheter.
And
how they're not made the same as they used to be.
We have no experience in that. It's just a hypothetical situation.
Right. So it's, you never know how God is going to be speaking to you, I guess.
He works in mysterious ways.
It's so mysterious, it's as if he wasn't there at all. Yeah. And I when I was writing this, I made a note, prove it, or you're just making this shit up.
Well, yeah.
And I can make up shit too. God only listens to people with lemon-scented farts.
Oh.
Yes. If you are truly a God-fearing person, you must endeavor to attain the purity of a lemon-scented fart.
Wait a minute now. All right. Let's talk about this for a second.
What do I offer as evidence to go beyond my own gassy ramblings? God told me so after I shoved an air freshener up my ass.
And as we know, there was a point in your life where you thought God was talking to you.
Where you were shoving a lot of things up your ass.
Oh, I mean, if you were, that was before my time, yeah. I hope. But and not current.
Yeah.
Although I don't know what you do when I'm not around.
Yeah.
I don't buy air fresheners. Maybe there's a reason.
Right. They just keep going missing. What were you going to say, though, about me with something about God? There was a time where I was like...
where you thought you God was talking to you. So maybe that's when he told you about the lemon farts.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's all, I mean, you don't have to prove anything, Josh. Yeah. You just got to take it on faith.
Right. Yeah. That's how God speaks to you, though, is only if you have lemon-scented farts. Anyway. So then and then we get this. Job says, I am innocent, but God denies me justice. Though I am right, I am considered a liar. Although I am guiltless, his arrow inflicts an incurable wound. Is there anyone like Job who drinks scorn like water? He keeps company with evildoers. He associates with the wicked. For he says, There is no profit in trying to please God. I'm starting to think that Job is actually a bad guy. I mean, it does say that he's not, but his friends are really, like, even this new guy keeps saying that he's hanging out with evildoers and stuff like that.
Well, okay. Well, let's modernize this.
Yeah.
How many billionaires? Because let's assume he's the back then equivalent of a billionaire.
Right. He did have a shitload of cattle and everything.
How many billionaires do you know?
None.
That are good people.
Yeah.
Even the ones that like align with our value set, like our liberals and stuff like that.
Right.
Not great people.
No.
And they know a lot of bad people. So it makes sense that he would know a lot of bad people. Because back then, especially, I mean, even to today, a lot of money is gained through taking it from other people.
Yeah.
Either through warfare or taxation. And I use air quotes.
Yeah.
Because back then, taxation was just a wealthy landowner being like, well, you have to pay me money to live on or near my property.
Basically.
Yeah. Yep.
It would be nice narratively if we had any idea over who was telling the truth, you know?
Right.
But we don't really.
Well, we do know who's telling the truth because it's all bullshit.
Well,
because God was like, fuck
God
this.
said he was a perfect servant and everything. Yeah.
So in God's eyes, he is a good guy.
Right.
So
everybody who says anything negative against him is not a truth teller in this story, really. Yeah.
Correct.
So listen to me, you men of understanding. Far be it from God to do evil, from the Almighty to do wrong. He repays everyone for what they have done. He brings on them what their conduct deserves. It is unthinkable that God would do wrong, that the Almighty would pervert justice. And this reminded me of a Twitter spat I got into recently.
Oh.
Yeah. Which I think I told you a little bit about this.
Yes.
With a pro-lifer who was upset that Michigan overwhelmingly passed Prop 3, which protected women's right to an abortion under our Constitution, or anybody's right to an abortion, really.
Go Michigan.
Yes.
Fucking A.
And he said, quote, blah, 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 evildoers will be accursed, blah, 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 God will get even, blah, blah, blah. I clearly haven't read my blobble.
You didn't say the word blobble to me. You did not prepare me for that.
That's exactly what he said.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah. And I responded with one verse, which is 1 Samuel 15:3. Now go, attack the Amalekites and totally destroy all that belongs to them. Do not spare them. Put to death men and women, children and infants, cattle and sheep, camels and donkeys. That's God commanding King Saul to commit genocide.
Right.
And you know what? King Saul does it. Well, almost. God actually gets pissed at him for not killing
babies,
all the cattle.
Oh, but he did kill all the babies.
But he did kill all the babies.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, first, this Twitter dude said that was the Old Testament, but nice try.
What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
Is there a sect of Christianity that puts less emphasis on the Old Testament?
Yeah, it's called Christianity.
Really? But that's where the whole Adam and Eve thing.
Yeah.
That's like the foundation of all their hate.
It's the foundation of the entire religion.
Right.
If any of that is not real, the whole thing breaks down of Christianity.
I mean,
Judaism needs to be real in order for Christianity to be real.
How many times have you heard or even said in your past when you were one of them?
Yeah.
The Bible says it's Adam and Eve.
And not Adam and Steve.
Not Adam and Steve.
I don't know if I ever actually used that phrase, but I get what you're saying.
Wow, I heard it so many times.
Totally.
So many times. So if Christianity is saying the Old Testament doesn't matter,
right?
Well, then stop using it.
So this goes back to the whole idea of when we were reading, I think it was Acts, where the sheet comes down.
Yes, the holy sheet.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden you can eat all these previously unclean animals and everything. I think a lot of Christians take that to mean, oh, we don't really need to pay that close of attention to the Old Testament.
Except when it's convenient.
Except when it's convenient. It doesn't matter the fact that Jesus kept saying over and over again, keep the law.
Right.
Keep the law.
Right.
You know, it's supposed to be, in addition to everything you were supposed to be doing before.
I almost understand more like militant religion.
I know.
That follow the Bible to the fucking T.
Yeah.
Then these people.
If you believe it's real.
Yeah. Then it's all fucking real. And you got to follow it.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just making shit up. You know? And so.
Again, you're gambling.
Right. Yeah, you're kind of gambling, but you're not even taking it that seriously.
Right.
You know?
So this new wave Christian was like, that's the Old Testament. So I guess your argument is
null and void. Yeah. Is what he said. So I asked if that meant that God changed his mind. You know, how could God have been perfect if God had changed? Then the dude accused me of twisting scripture, which, of course, I had just quoted one verse.
Right.
If this is real and he wanted them dead, he could have killed all of these Amalekites without causing anybody to feel any pain or anything like that. But what he did instead, God did instead,
is he told somebody to kill them.
He told people to kill them. Babies.
He was dirty work.
He told people to go kill babies.
Right.
Right.
Alive babies. Out of the womb babies.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Children.
Yes.
Children and infants. Go kill them. I could do it just like I did with the 10 plagues over Egypt, where he killed all the firstborn children.
Yes.
Firstborn sons, I think it was. I can't remember if it was firstborn children.
I'm pretty sure it was sons. Girls don't matter.
Yeah, I guess.
Thank goodness. There's a couple times in history where girls not mattering really worked out.
Yeah. So God, you know, in theory, they don't actually say whether it was painful or not for those kids to go, but assuming that God took them peacefully, you know, he could have done the same thing here, but no, instead he tells these people to go murder children.
Right.
And they're fine with this, these fucking people.
Because God said so.
Yeah. Or someone just wanted the Amalekites killed and they told the people that God told them that they needed to kill babies. And they believed him because he had an air freshener shoved up his ass. My point is, God does a lot wrong, and it's well documented throughout the Bible. Most believers just can't bring themselves to accept that it is wrong.
Right.
Anyway, that's
or they make excuses for it. They say things like, well, the translation.
The translation, or that was Old Testament.
Yeah. There's a lot of excuses, which is funny because like then when you call out the excuses, then they get real like, oh, you're a heathen who's going to burn in hell with it. And it's like, okay, well, that's not an argument.
I left out the part when he did call me a demon.
Yeah. All right.
It's like, I think that was the first time anybody called me a demon. I feel a little proud about it.
Right? It's pretty amazing.
I'm kind of like, I kind of like that a little too much.
Apparently demons use Twitter.
Yeah. Well, I think
all right.
I think we all know that. It's not bots crawling Twitter. It's just demons.
Oh, that needs to be a movie.
Yeah. That's the new Screw Tape letters. Is he not the one who says to kings, you are worthless, and to nobles, you are wicked? Who shows no partiality to princes and does not favor the rich over the poor, for they are all the work of his hands. They die in an instant in the middle of the night. The people are shaken and they pass away. The mighty are removed without human hand.
All right, I'm sorry. He said God doesn't give favoritism to
the rich and the powerful.
Okay. All right.
Except that they're rich and powerful.
And also, like, we know that that's not true. He does have favorites.
Yeah.
How many times did he come save the Kardashians of the Bible? Because they were going to get killed for something. You know who I'm talking about. I
couldn't figure out who you were talking about at first, but you were talking about, like, Jacob and his sons.
How many times did God cover for them?
Yeah.
For shit that they did.
Right.
Like, a lot.
Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. They were rich too, I bet.
All those times that they said that their wife was actually their sister, and then their wife's sister got taken by the king of the area. Yeah.
Yeah.
And God had to like save them.
And let's not pretend like they were rolling around poor, no coin in their pocket.
No, they were very wealthy.
Yeah. the Bible itself shows that God does have favorites.
Like even back then, I'm pretty sure you would be much less likely to die in an instant in the middle of the night if you were rich or as opposed to being poor, you know?
Right.
So this guy is definitely like cherry picking his argument.
Oh my gosh. Even back then.
Yeah. No, totally.
Yeah.
It's full of bad arguments. You still see the same arguments.
It's crazy
today.
because when you like the words are different, but the ideas are the exact same.
Yeah.
People have not changed at all. It's just now we have better ways to communicate with each other with our stupid ideas.
Yes.
I mean, you're listening to our stupid ideas right now.
Right. If you sin, how does that affect him? If your sins are many, what does that do to him? If you are righteous, what do you give to him? Or what does he receive from your hand? Your wickedness only affects humans like yourself, and your righteousness only other people. So this kind of mirrors some of the points made in the previous episode where they ask how a person being righteous affects God. You know, like if you're righteous, how does that actually benefit God in any way?
Right.
And here he's asking, how does a person's sin affect God? Which I think is a really good question, really. This is the mentality, though, of somebody who thinks that sin causes all negativity in the world. Like being gay causes a hurricane type of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
There's quite a few people that believe that when Hurricane Katrina hit.
Yeah. If people are bound in chains, held fast by cords of affliction, he tells them what they have done, that they have sinned arrogantly. He makes them listen to correction and commands them to repent of their evil. If they obey and serve him, they will spend the rest of their days in prosperity and their years in contentment. If they do not listen, they will perish by the sword and die without knowledge.
How do you sin arrogantly? Is that sinning even though you know it's a sin?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. As opposed to sinning on accident?
Sinning maybe in a way that you're sheepish about it. Like you don't, like maybe you know it's a sin, but you like
a guilty pleasure?
Yeah. Kind of like,
all right.
Yeah, I don't know. But like, to me, this completely overlooks things like innocent people getting abducted, you know, or by psychopaths or something, you know, like
right.
Sometimes bad shit just happens to good people, you know, and what this guy is saying is that it never happens to good people. And It's like, well, that's just not true.
No, maybe back then when there was only like 10 people in the world, there wasn't a lot of experience.
Bad stuff only happened to the one bad guy. The godless in heart harbor resentment. Even when he fetters them, they do not cry for help. They die in their youth among male prostitutes of the shrines. But those who suffer, he delivers in their suffering. He speaks to them in their affliction. He is wooing you from the jaws of distress to a spacious place free from restriction, to the comfort of your table laden with choice food. But now you are laden with the judgment due the wicked. Judgment and justice have taken hold of you. Be careful that no one entices you by riches. Do not let a large bribe turn you aside. Would your wealth or even all your mighty efforts sustain you so you would not be in distress? Getting weirdly sexual there.
Yeah. So if you are basically, he's saying, if I lived back then, I would have died young amongst male prostitutes of the shrine.
I guess
sounds pretty amazing to me.
Yeah.
I don't know why he's making it sound like a bad thing.
Right. And is he saying that Job would die surrounded by male prostitutes of the shrine too?
Well, because he's not young.
Oh, that's
he
true.
does say young. If you are godless in heart, you die young.
See, that's how he would go.
Prostitutes.
That's how he would go amongst the male prostitutes, I
of
think.
the shrine.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't mention male prostitutes a whole lot.
Yeah.
In the Bible. I feel like it's mostly just women prostitutes that come up.
You don't hear about that
male
stuff.
And are they like
good?
Well, are they like male prostitutes that service other men? Or are they male prostitutes that service women? Or do they dabble in a little bit of all?
Probably do anything you need.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I also thought it was interesting, though, that he's calling out, you know, it's not okay to be rich and stuff. But again, that's the Old Testament. So we don't have to worry about that.
Right. Yeah.
Who can understand how he spreads out the clouds, how he thunders from his pavilion? See how he scatters the lightning about him, bathing the depths of the sea. This is the way he governs the nations and provides food in abundance. He fills his hands with lightning and commands it to strike its mark. His thunder announces the coming storm. Even the cattle make known its approach. Listen to the roar of his voice, to the rumbling that comes from his mouth. He unleashes his lightning beneath the whole heaven and sends it to the ends of the earth. After that comes the sound of his roar. He thunders with his majestic voice. When his voice resounds, he holds nothing back.
Are we talking about Zeus?
I know. Sounds a lot like Zeus, doesn't it?
A little bit. Not even a little bit. A lot of it.
It's totally Zeus.
Yeah.
I mean, and we're going to get fucking weird in this episode too when it comes to the whole mythology stuff.
Right on.
And it's worth pointing out, just for folks who haven't listened to us before or talk about the Old Testament, this is on the edge of the Mediterranean, the Eastern Mediterranean area. I'm sure you know where Israel is.
I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
just look at a globe.
Yeah. So there's a lot of communication and interaction with the Greeks and the Romans and stuff. So there's a lot of crosstalk on their mythologies, right? So they pick up and feed off of each other quite a bit. So yeah, El, the supreme god of the area at this point, was basically Zeus.
Right.
And that's who they talk about. That's who became Elohim, which is the supreme god of Judaism.
God of gods.
Yeah. Anyway. And then Elihu kind of wraps up. Listen to this, Job. Stop and consider God's wonders. Do you know how God controls the clouds and makes his lightning flash? Do you know how the clouds hang poised? Those wonders of him who has perfect knowledge? You who swelter in your clothes, when the land lies hushed under the south wind. Can you join him in spreading out the skies, hard as a mirror of cast bronze? Out of the north, he comes in a golden splendor. He comes in awesome majesty. The Almighty is beyond our reach and exalted in power. In his justice and great righteousness, he does not oppress. Therefore, people revere him, for does he not have regard for all the wise in heart? Yeah, I like this guy just doesn't know what he's talking about.
He's got a real hard on for God.
He does.
It sounds like
he's literal one.
Yes, and like he's definitely one of those like true believers.
Yeah.
God does things because you're either good or bad. So if you're good, then God rewards you. And if you're bad, God punishes you. But as we fucking know, that is not the case.
For Job.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of wrapping up Elihu's arguments.
So he just comes in and says all of this shit and then like disappears into the mist?
No, he's going to be like just there.
Okay. Like in the corner.
Yeah. I don't think we hear about him at all for the rest of this, but he never leaves.
That we know of.
Yeah.
That's weird.
It's really weird. It's a really weird thing. But again, we're still all in poetry at this point. So looks like this is a Job for God. Chapter 38 starts with, then the Lord spoke to Job out of the storm, which is interesting because we're not directly told this, but apparently all that storm analogy that Elihu had.
He does say he does say at one point, like, listen.
Yeah.
So I assume that like
a storm had started.
Yeah.
Right. But they never explicitly said, and then like a storm rolled in or something like that.
It's poetry. Yeah. There's no narrative going along with it. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, God is now going to be speaking. God has shown up and God is going to be addressing Job directly with the friends there.
Can they hear him?
It sounds like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who is this that obscures my plans with words without knowledge? Brace yourself like a man. I will question you, and you shall answer me. Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Tell me if you understand. Who marked off its dimensions? Surely you know. Who stretched a measuring line across it? On what were its footings set? Or who laid its cornerstone? While the morning stars sang together and all the angels shouted for joy. Who took a 3-week AutoCAD course to draw up the blueprints? Who applied for the zoning permits? Who bribed the city inspector to overlook the shoddy wiring?
When he said the morning star, is he talking about Satan?
He was talking about the morning stars sang together. It sounds like it's, I've never.
I mean, he's talking about the sun.
I mean, I think he's talking about angels in general, like, or it's a class of angels. I don't fucking know.
Satan's the morning star.
Satan is supposedly the morning star. But
and all the other stars.
And all the other stars. Yes, as we've covered.
Yes.
But it doesn't really, like, I don't know what morning star is supposed to be as opposed to an angel. And
well, technically, the morning star is the sun.
I mean, it's also the evening star in a way, too.
No, there is no evening star.
Why is there not an evening star?
Well, the sun is a star.
Yeah.
And it's the morning star. It's the star that brings the morning.
Yeah. It's also the star that brings the evening.
No, it doesn't.
How does it not bring the evening?
It goes down. It goes away. I guess it's going away brings the evening. But that doesn't bring the evening. The cycle of the morning star is done.
The evening, I would say, is when it's on its way down. And then when it's down, it's night.
We're getting into semantics here.
And my point is, it's an angel. Anyway. Who shut up the sea behind doors when it burst forth from the womb? When I made the clouds its garment and wrapped it in thick darkness. When I fixed limits for it and set its doors and bars in place. When I said, this far you may come and no farther. Here is where your proud waves halt. Have you ever given orders to the morning or shown the dawn its place, that it might take the earth by the edges and shake the wicked out of it? Have you journeyed to the springs of the sea or walked the recesses of the deep? Have the gates of death been shown to you? Have you seen the gates of the deepest darkness? Have you comprehended the vast expanses of the earth? Tell me if you know all this. What is the way to the abode of light? And where does darkness reside? Can you take them to their places? Do you know the paths to their dwellings? Surely you know, for you were already born. You have lived so many years. God's getting straight up snarky with them. Yeah. It's like sarcastic.
He seems very defensive.
Yeah.
He seems very defensive for a guy that knows that he's fucking with him.
Right. Okay. You killed my family.
Right.
You killed my whole fucking family.
And you gave me these sores.
Yeah.
And you made my breath stink.
Right.
And these fuckers won't leave.
Yeah. These so-called friends.
I'm starting to think this is the worst thing that you've done to me.
Yeah. And we're stuck in a musical. Have you entered the storehouses of the snow or seen the storehouses of the hail, which I reserve for times of trouble, for days of war and battle? What is the way to the place where the lightning is dispersed, or the place where the east winds are scattered over the earth? Who cuts a channel for the torrents of rain and a path for the thunderstorm, to water the land where no one lives, an uninhabited desert, to satisfy a desolate wasteland and make it sprout with grass? Does the rain have a father? Who fathers the drops of dew? From whose womb comes the ice? Who gives birth to the frost from the heavens, when the waters become hard as stone, when the surface of the deep is frozen? Who is the uncle of the morning frost? Who is the second cousin twice removed from the weeds in your garden?
So he said that God.
Yeah.
This is a man. Women wouldn't be like cruel like this.
I don't know. Apparently ice came out of his womb.
But so he stores the snow, and he said it was for times
of trouble, for days of war and battle.
Okay, so like in Grand Rapids right now, where we've gotten a 1.5 feet of snow in like 2 days, are we supposed to be battling?
I mean, it's the
right
war
now,
on Christmas.
In Buffalo, New York, they got like 6 feet of snow.
Yeah.
In like the span of 2 days. They did have to move their football game to Detroit. But that to me sounds like the only trouble that they've had to deal with because of it.
Yeah, I really can't fathom what they're talking about, like why it would be times of battle.
Big picture, God is fucking with him. And now he's coming and talking to him and making him feel like a real fucking shitheel because he's sad that all this shit happened to him. And God knows that he did it for no reason.
And let's keep in mind that obviously this is not actually God talking to somebody, and this is somebody just writing a shitload of poetry and getting high on mushrooms and stuff.
Satan.
No.
Satan's talking to him actually instead of God.
Yeah, no. Just because I've read to the end, Satan doesn't show up again. Unfortunately, I wish he was. I really wish he was a more prevalent character.
Even doing this? There's no finality to the story.
Oh no! There's not.
Oh, God damn it!
No.
God damn it!
Yeah, but let's keep in mind though that this is like what people might have thought of back then when you didn't have any sort of scientific knowledge over how nature worked. You might think that somewhere there are storehouses of snow and hail. Can you bind the chains of the Pleiades? Can you loosen Orion's belt? Can you bring forth the constellations in their seasons or lead out the bear with its cubs? Do you know the laws of the heavens? Can you set up God's dominion over the earth? Can you raise your voice to the clouds and cover yourself with a flood of water? Do you send the lightning bolts on their way? Do they report to you, "Here we are"? Who gives the ibis wisdom or gives the rooster understanding? Who has the wisdom to count the clouds? Who can tip over the water jars of the heavens when the dust becomes hard and the clods of earth stick together? What is wise about counting clouds?
I mean, it seems pretty easy to do.
Right. There's 1, 2.
There's a lot of
3.
There's a lot of like, can you
4.
loosen Orion's belt? Can you bring out the bear and his cubs?
Yeah.
It sounds like a really fun night at a gay bar.
Yeah.
What he's
called
talking
Pleiades.
about. Right.
Yeah. Or called God's Dominion. I kind of like that for a gay bar name. Do you hunt the prey for the lioness and satisfy the hunger of the lions when they crouch in their dens or lie in wait in a thicket? Who provides food for the raven when its young cry out to God and wander about for lack of food? God literally lets animals starve to death all the time.
Yeah.
Animals starve to death all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, if you go up to a nest that has baby birds in it and you touch the baby birds, mom will not come back and take care of them.
Right. Yeah.
Because they smell like humans. You've fucked those baby birds for life.
Yeah. Even if that's not the case, they could fall out.
Right.
And stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tons of baby birds die every year.
All the time.
So many.
All the time.
So many. Cats roaming around neighborhoods die. Dogs get hit by car. I mean, how many animals do you see that are run over by cars?
Right.
On a daily basis. It's so many.
Right. It's not like they're crying out to God and God is answering their prayers any more than he does humans. Who let the wild donkey go free? Who untied its ropes? I gave it the wasteland as its home,
Fun.
The salt flats as its habitat.
Thanks, God.
It laughs at the commotion in the town. It does not hear a driver's shout. It ranges the hills for its pasture and searches for anything green. Who told the chicken to cross the road?
I actually saw a video the other day of these guys just sitting in their car watching a chicken try to cross the road. They were having a very fun time.
Why are you doing this? Just tell us and we'll let you cross.
Well, the wild donkey should be so lucky that God gave it barrens and salt flats as its domain.
Yeah.
That's what donkeys
just
want.
Scourge the land looking for anything green to eat.
Why donkeys eat fucking garbage.
Yeah. The wings of the ostrich flap joyfully, though they cannot compare with the wings and the feathers of the stork. She lays her eggs on the ground and lets them warm in the sand, unmindful that a foot may crush them, that some wild animal may trample them. She treats her young harshly as if they were not hers. She cares not that her labor was in vain, for God did not endow her with wisdom or give her a share of good sense. Yet when she spreads her feathers to run, she laughs at horse and rider. Okay, I think God is just rambling now.
It really does feel like that.
Yeah, like
I would, if I were Job, I would have stopped listening a while ago.
just zoned out.
Question though, God, since we're talking about ostriches, you did give them wings.
Yeah.
And yet,
right.
They cannot fly.
Is there a reason for that? Did it like
to make them more aerodynamic?
Yeah.
Like, are they really like dinosaurs that survive? What's going on here?
Right. Considering the Earth is only about 1,000 years old right now, like, what's going on with this? Yeah. And speaking of horses, do you give the horse its strength or clothe its neck with a flowing mane? Do you make it leap like a locust, striking terror with its proud snorting? It paws fiercely, rejoicing in its strength, and charges into the fray. It laughs at fear, afraid of nothing. It does not shy away from the sword. The quiver rattles against its side, along with the flashing spear and lance. In frenzied excitement, it eats up the ground. It cannot stand still when the trumpet sounds. At the blast of the trumpet, it snorts, aha! It catches the scent of battle from afar, the shout of commanders, and the battle cry.
He just said, do you tell horses to do this stuff? And then it says it follows, then he says the horses follow commanders. So yes, people are telling horses what to do.
Yeah.
Also, horses, given the opportunity, won't charge into battle.
No, my note on this is I doubt horses really love battle.
No, they don't. Given the opportunity,
yeah. They'll run away from it.
For sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Tells me God doesn't really know horses very well.
No. This is a human who is like, oh my God, I can't believe these beasts will just run into battle.
Right.
Well, yeah, because they're being whipped.
Right. Yeah.
Of course they will.
Yeah.
Because they don't know that also they might die. They just don't want to get whipped anymore.
Right. Yeah. Does the hawk take flight by your wisdom and spread its wings toward the south? Does the eagle soar at your command and build its nest on high? It dwells on a cliff and stays there at night, a rocky crag as its stronghold. From there it looks for food. Its eyes detect it from afar. Its young ones feast on blood, and where the slain are, there it is.
So fucking boring.
I know. It's really, so what I think is going on here is I think the writer is having God go through all of these things. Most folks who are reading this never think about how does this stuff work, in nature, and it's like, well, see, God definitely exists because somebody has to be keeping track of all this.
Right.
Right. But they obviously also don't have a very thorough understanding of how this all works,
right.
And it's like, I just think that's what he's trying to get across is God knows all of this stuff. And so therefore Job is inferior to God because Job is not aware of all that. Stuff. Yeah.
But like, how many examples does he need?
Yeah,
at what point, like at this, 5 animals ago, I would have been like, I get it.
Right.
I understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. I'm not stupid. I'm just in pain because of you.
Because you killed my family.
And gave me these sores.
Yeah.
But I get, and now you're prattling on like an asshole.
Yeah.
So like, again, just kill me.
Right.
That's what your aim is.
Let's just call it a day.
Can you just kill me?
Yeah.
That would be like, I want this to end. Is there more?
I mean, the episode's not done.
No, I mean, is there more God being like, do you know this? Do you know this? Do you know this? Do you know this? Do you know this?
Kinda.
Do you know this?
Kinda. It gets weirder. It's gonna get into stuff we don't know.
No.
It's a shit, Job, but someone needs to do it. The Lord said to Job, "Will the one who contends with the Almighty correct him? Let him who accuses God answer him." Then Job answered the Lord, "I am unworthy. How can I reply to you? I put my hand over my mouth. I spoke once, but I have no answer. Twice, but I will say no more." Then the Lord spoke to Job out of the storm. "Brace yourself like a man. I will question you, and you shall answer me. Would you discredit my justice? Would you condemn me to justify yourself? Do you have an arm like God's? And can your voice thunder like his? Then adorn yourself with the glory and splendor and clothe yourself in honor and majesty. Unleash the fury of your wrath. Look at all who are proud and bring them low. Look at all who are proud and humble them. Crush the wicked where they stand. Bury them all in the dust together. Shroud their faces in the grave. And I will admit to you that your own right hand can save you.
I bet it can.
Yeah.
It feels like, did you ever watch do you ever get into wrestling?
Maybe briefly back in, the heyday of Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Back in.
Well, that's perfect because I think they used to do it more back then than they do now, where they would do like the locker room shit talk.
Oh.
And it really feels like that's what God is doing, is like, look at these arms. Are your arms like my arms?
We're going to bring it to you, brother.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it feels like.
See if you can do this.
He's calling him out.
Yeah. We're getting into like the big climactic explanation as to why, despite bad times in your life, God is still God. But God doesn't strike down all evil people. Evil people win in this world a lot, which nullifies the whole argument. And then we talk about the mythical creatures. Look at Behemoth, which I made along with you, and which feeds on grass like an ox. What strength it has in its loins, what power in the muscles of its belly. Its tail sways like a cedar, the sinews of its thighs are close knit, its bones are tubes of bronze, its limbs like rods of iron. It ranks first amongst the works of God, yet its maker can approach it with his sword. The hills bring it their produce, and all the wild animals play nearby. Under the lotus plant it lies, hidden among the reeds of the marsh. The lotuses conceal it in their shadow. The poplars by the stream surround it. A raging river does not alarm it. It is secure though the Jordan should surge against its mouth. Can anyone capture it by the eyes or trap it and pierce its nose? There are some religious folks out there, like the people who built the stupid Noah's Ark in Kentucky, who think Behemoth refers to dinosaurs.
I was gonna say, I just looked this up, and a lot of pictures of dinosaurs came up.
People think that they take it as evidence. Let's put that in air quotes. They take it as evidence that humans and dinosaurs coexisted together, just like the Flintstones.
All right. So there was a really great run of the Flintstones that was done more recently. That was like,
the comic book.
Yeah, they did a comic book version of it. That was very well written and kind of went into like the dark underside of the Flintstones. And I would highly suggest reading that over the Bible.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot we could suggest reading over the Bible. More rational people think this Behemoth refers to hippos, and there's explanations behind that. If you want to dig into it, it might be part of the root of the word behemoth is related to hippos and stuff.
Okay.
From Wikipedia, Behemoth is a beast from the biblical book of Job and is a form of the primeval chaos monster created by God at the beginning of creation. He is paired with the other chaos monster, Leviathan. Monsters. And according to later Jewish tradition, both would become food for the righteous at the end time. So in Jewish Apocrypha, Behemoth is the unconquerable male land monster living in an invisible desert east of the Garden of Eden, as Leviathan is the primeval female sea monster dwelling in the abyss, and Ziz, Z-I-Z, the primordial sky monster, apparently which has no gender, I guess, at least not that's been called out here. So there's also a sky monster, which I think is interesting. Similarly, in the most ancient section of the second book of Esdras, written around 100 AD, the two are described as inhabiting the mountains and the seas, respectively, after being separated from each other due to the sea's insufficiency to contain them both. Likewise, in the contemporary Syriac Apocalypse of Baruch, it is stated that Behemoth will come forth from his seclusion on land and Leviathan out of the sea. And the two gigantic monsters created on the fifth day will serve as food for the elect who survive in the days of the Messiah. So some pretty interesting mythology around
It's
these.
fucking nuts.
It is.
It's fucking nuts.
I
And
mean,
also, did it on the fifth day, God created giant monsters?
Actually, I didn't even think to look that up. Like, what was the fifth day supposed to be? Let's
Chaos.
see.
I'm sorry, chaos monsters? Because that's what they call them. And also, why is that not a band?
Yeah,
Chaos
probably
Monsters is a great band's name. Like, I've heard of the Leviathan, and I've heard of things referred to as behemoth, right? Usually the term means something super big, right? But I didn't realize that it was like a biblical creature, a behemoth.
In Genesis 1, on the fifth day, God said, let the water teem with living creatures. Let the birds fly above the earth, across the vaults of the sky. So God created the great creatures of the sea and everything with which the water teems and that moves about in it according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them and said, be fruitful and increase in number and filled the water in the seas and let the birds increase on the earth. And there was evening and there was morning the fifth day.
Mm-hmm.
So, just created sea creatures and air creatures.
Right. We're expected to eat these things?
No, we're not going to be the elect.
Okay. They're expected to eat these things at the end times? Like, does the meat not ever go bad?
Probably not.
And like,
it's probably like in Obi-Wan, how he was part of that crew that was like dissecting that one giant animal.
Yeah.
And like the meat just never went bad, apparently.
Gross. And also, do these creatures know they've just been living this entire time just to be food for man at the end of times?
Right. I don't know.
What if you're a vegetarian?
Well, then you're not going to be one of the elect.
Oh, I see.
It's a sin. And then we get chapter 41.
Can you pull in Leviathan with a fishhook, or tie down its tongue with a rope? Can you put a cord through its nose or pierce its jaw with a hook? Will it keep begging you for mercy? Will it speak to you with gentle words? Will it make an agreement with you for you to take it as your slave for life? Can you make a pet of it like a bird, or put it on a leash for the young women in your house? Will traders barter for it? Will they divide it up among the merchants? Can you fill its hide with harpoons or its head with fishing spears? If you lay a hand on it, you will remember the struggle and never do it again. Any hope of subduing it is false. The mere sight of it is overpowering. No one is fierce enough to rouse it. Who then is able to stand against me? Who has a claim against me that I must pay? Everything under heaven belongs to me. I will not fail to speak of Leviathan's limbs, its strength and its graceful form. Who can strip off its outer coat? Who can penetrate its double coat of armor? Who dares open the doors of its mouth, ringed about with fearsome teeth? Its back has rows of shields, tightly sealed together. Each is so close to the next that no air can pass between. They are joined fast to one another. They cling together and cannot be parted. Its snorting throws out flashes of light. Its eyes are like the rays of dawn. Flames stream from its mouth. Sparks of fire shoot out. Smoke pours from its nostrils as from a boiling pot over burning reeds. Its breath sets coals ablaze, and flames dart from its mouth. Strength resides in its neck. Dismay goes before it. The folds of its flesh are tightly joined. They are firm and immovable. Its chest is hard as rock, hard as a lower millstone. When it rises up, the mighty are terrified. They retreat before its thrashing. The sword that reaches it has no effect, nor does the spear or the dart or the javelin. Iron it treats like straw, and bronze like rotten wood. Arrows do not make it flee. Sling stones are like a chaff to it. A club seems to it but a piece of straw. It laughs at the rattling of the lance. Its undersides are jagged potsherds, leaving a trail in the mud like a threshing sledge. It makes the depths churn like a boiling cauldron and stirs up the sea like a pot of ointment. It leaves a glistening wake behind it. One would think the deep had white hair. Nothing on earth is its equal. A creature without fear. It looks down on all that are haughty. It is king over all that are proud.
So that's
holy shit.
That's the entire 41st chapter of the book of Job.
God is fucking the Leviathan.
There is an entire chapter of the Bible
dedicated to a sea monster.
To Godzilla.
Godzilla. Yeah. That's fucking that monster.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's a dragon is what they're talking about.
It sounds like a dragon that also lives in the water.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a whole like Saint George, right? In the Catholic mythology, Saint George slew a dragon. Like that's why he's a saint.
Never heard of Saint George.
Well, that's why he's a saint. He killed a dragon so that the king wouldn't have to sacrifice his daughter to the dragon.
Well, that was nice of him.
In Catholic mythology,
yeah,
there's a saint that killed a dragon.
Which means dragons exist according to
Catholic mythology. Yes. Yeah. And according to the Bible, the Leviathan exists, supposedly.
Yeah.
But also shoots fire.
Yeah. I know. And this is supposed to be alligators, is what.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I know. Yeah. I mean, of course, the Ark people.
Whale makes way more sense than fucking alligators.
Yeah. Of course, to the Ark people, this is, again, a dinosaur, but yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, actually, a dinosaur makes way more fucking sense than an
Except
alligator.
a dinosaur can't fucking breathe fire. You know,
right.
Nothing can.
No.
But yeah, it's pretty fucking nuts.
Really long.
Yeah.
He sounds very impressed with himself on the creation of this creature.
Right.
It's like when you have a job and you do something really good and it's like the one thing you do really good and you can't stop telling people about it. But eventually people are like, oh God, I just wish they would shut up. I don't care anymore. I got to that point very quickly in that chapter. I was just like, okay, God, we get it. You really love this fucking monster more than anything in the world.
Yeah.
You love this monster.
For some reason.
That no one has ever seen.
And lived.
Of course.
Right.
Convenient. I mean, the closest thing we have to it, right, is Nessie.
Yeah.
Which also isn't real.
And it does make you kind of wonder, too, like when it comes to like all those years that came after the Christianization of Europe and stuff like that, when they were like out sailing the oceans and stuff like that, you think they had like that fear of like, oh God, what if we come across Leviathan?
Yes.
You know?
Like if you hear stories about like old timey sailors and stuff like that, like they're always scared of sea monsters, and I'm sure the Leviathan is definitely one of those things. Like it's like the thing. They also thought they were going to sail off the side of the earth if they went too far.
Yeah, I mean that's just science.
He doesn't believe that.
No,
absolutely not. Don't even kid about that.
About being a flat earther.
There are people out there who legitimately believe that the earth is flat still. So let's not kid about.
I would be more likely to believe in God than a flat earth, I think. Can't prove God one way or another, but you can prove that the earth is not flat.
Yeah.
Just lost half of our audience.
God, I hope flat earthers aren't listening now. What a weird dichotomy of interests they have. They believe the earth is flat, but also God's not real.
That's just bullshit.
A sea monster.
What kind of a God would make a flat earth? Like, how did something that has an entire chapter dedicated to Godzilla end up in the holy book of scriptures?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Then Job replied to the Lord, I know that you can do all things. No purpose of yours can be thwarted. You asked, who is this that obscures my plans without knowledge? Surely I spoke of things I did not understand, things too wonderful for me to know. You said, listen now, and I will speak. I will question you, and you shall answer me. My ears have heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you. Therefore I despise myself and repent in dust and ashes.
And that is the last of the poetry.
Okay.
We return to prose for the short epilogue.
But no Satan.
No Satan. No Satan. Not today, Satan.
That was unplanned.
No, yeah. And then God says to Eliphaz, specifically for some reason,
I am angry with you and your 2 friends, because you have not spoken the truth about me as my servant Job has. So now take 7 bulls and 7 rams and go to my servant Job and sacrifice a burnt offering for yourselves. My servant Job will pray for you, and I will accept his prayer and not deal with you according to your folly. You have not spoken the truth about me as my servant Job has. After Job prayed for his friends, the Lord restored his fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before. All his brothers and sisters and everyone who had known him before came and ate with him in his house. They comforted and consoled him over all the trouble the Lord had brought on him, and each one gave him a piece of silver and a gold ring. The Lord blessed the later part of Job's life more than the former part. He had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 donkeys. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters. Nowhere in all the land were there found women as beautiful as Job's daughters, and their father granted them an inheritance along with their brothers. After this, Job lived 140 years. He saw his children and their children to the 4th generation. And so Job died, an old man and full of years.
Wow.
140 years after this.
Okay. Not 140 years total.
After this, Job lived 140 years.
Well, he had 7 more sons and 3 more daughters, or
Yeah.
did God bring his?
No. They replaced him.
Oh, he like exact replacements.
Yeah.
Well, it just goes to show you when rich people lose all their money, there's other rich people around to give it back to them.
Like God?
No, he said that rich people came and gave him fucking
that's right.
money.
Like all those other people came
Yeah.
and brought him. Well, they gave him silver and a gold ring,
Yeah.
each of them.
Yeah, I'm sure back then that was not nothing.
I don't know why it's a gold ring. Like, like
Jewelry was made out of gold.
yeah, but like why not silver coin, or why not gold coins,
Oh.
or like why is it gold rings? I thought it was a little weird, but it's always gold rings with these people. You can really tell that J.R.R. Tolkien took a lot of inspiration from this.
One ring.
Like there's the gold ring,
Yeah.
but then like the whole description of Leviathan, I feel like he just copied and pasted for Smaug. Yeah.
Smaug. So God spent all this time. It sounded like, so he was talking to Job and and it sounded like he was chastising him for like a long time.
Yeah.
And then basically,
see how smart I am compared to you.
Right.
Yeah.
But then at the end, he was like, Job did the right thing. And all of you 3 friends, assholes.
We're not doing the right thing.
Assholes.
Right.
Like, come and fucking kill some animals and burn them for Job. And
Job
pray.
will ask for your forgiveness.
Yeah.
I'll listen to him.
Right. Not you guys, because y'all are liars.
Right.
Except that God has way more information than they do. They were just working off what they fucking knew. And the idea that all this bad shit was happening to Job, why would that make sense except that maybe he sinned? So God was punishing him. So God is saying that they're liars because God wasn't punishing him because he sinned.
Yeah.
Which is true. God wasn't punishing him because he sinned. God was just punishing him.
Just had to prove a point.
But they wanted to think better of their God than that. So
that's where they went wrong.
That is where they went wrong.
Yeah.
they had higher expectations.
The lesson. That's the lesson of the book of Job. God's an asshole.
Don't think too much of God.
Don't think anything else about it.
Wow. If somebody only told me that when I was young, perhaps my whole idea of religion would have changed.
Right. So that's the book of Job.
Wow. It seems quite superfluous and completely unnecessary.
Which is totally different than the rest of the Bible.
I can see why you had trouble with it. It gets real boring. Like if you're going to use something as literarily different than the rest of the Bible as poetry, like why do you need to prattle on?
I don't understand how this got added into the Bible.
Somebody
stripped out at
needed a lesson. They needed the lesson of Why do bad things happen to good people?
Right.
And also, like, how do all these animals exist?
Oh, you mean like actual animals?
Yeah.
Because I thought you meant like Leviathan and behemoths for a second there.
Why do all these other animals exist?
Right.
And also, what will we eat at the end of time?
I guess, apparently, yeah.
It answers a lot of questions.
Yeah.
That very conveniently that people probably had.
Yeah.
Especially the why does bad stuff happen to good people thing.
That's the thing, though, is I feel like it does not answer that very well at all.
I don't think it answers it very well at all, but people still use it all the time.
Yeah.
As the lessons from this story as the reason why.
Yeah, I think the lesson...
Children get cancer and die because God has a higher purpose for them.
Yeah.
It's God's choice.
Right. And that is really it. I think that is the lesson of the whole thing is God's ways are bigger than ours.
Yeah. A maniac walked into a gay club in Colorado Springs, California this weekend and shot 5 people and killed them and wounded a bunch of others, because God thought that was the thing that needed to happen.
Right.
This week. Or it could be that somebody just is full of hate, spurred on by probably religion.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly. And why didn't God stop that?
Right.
Why didn't God stop that from happening? That's the thing that always bugs the shit out of me about this is it just doesn't make any sense.
No.
God's ways are, like I said earlier, God's ways are so mysterious, it's as if he doesn't even exist.
Right.
That's the thing. At some point, there's no difference between God existing and not existing.
Right.
If his ways are that mysterious.
Yeah. I get really tired of hearing things like God's testing me or God has a reason for doing this. I think that it keeps people from doing things to help alleviate their situations. You know what I mean? Like, because God must want this to happen for a reason. So, like, I'm not going to go follow this alternative path that maybe I would have because clearly God wants this to happen. Except, like, when you get cancer, you go get chemo and shit like that. It just seems like when
your eyes start failing, you get glasses.
Yeah.
Contacts.
But the more mundane stuff is like, oh, well, yeah. Obviously, God wanted those 5 gay people to die for a reason.
Or fucking, kids in a school shooting.
Right. Yeah.
So, I think the real lesson here is you should try worshiping Satan because he might be able to do a little bit more for you.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, the Church of Satan can do more.
That's
for
true.
You.
The Church of Satan actually does stuff for people. So,
like I've said a million times throughout this podcast, like I have a hard time understand how anybody can believe any of this stuff just because my entire life it's been something that I've never bought into. And I know that you had at one point in time. But like, how can you read a story like this and still be okay?
You don't. You just don't.
Is that what it is?
You don't.
You just don't.
I don't.
So like we should like figure I just need to start asking people who I know who are religious if they read this book particularly.
Yeah, the Book of Job.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem is they'll lie and say they did.
Okay. Well, but I can go through it with them now.
What about chapter 41 where God talks about Godzilla?
Can we talk about the Leviathan real quick?
Yeah.
That shit's crazy.
What the fuck?
Do you know we're supposed to eat that thing at the end times?
Apparently, yeah. Well, that's according to Jewish Apocrypha. But really, he's just talking about an alligator that
alligator
fire.
is delicious.
Like at the end of the day, I said this in the last episode too, but it was disappointing reading this. I was thinking it was going to be a lot better.
Well, I think you even mentioned this, like when you were Christian, like this seemed like a book that seemed really important because of the lessons that came out of it.
Yeah.
But you never actually read it.
Apparently not. I mean, like I certainly do not remember. I can't imagine myself, my young self, having actually sat down and read all of that poetry because it just like it doesn't say anything to you.
And
like,
don't you think that you would have
anything.
hit the point of the Leviathan and like been like, holy shit?
Yeah, I would have. I definitely never got to that point.
Right.
Yeah. or them talking about behemoth.
Right.
I didn't hear about either of those things until I became an atheist.
I didn't hear about any of those things until just this
I
moment in
didn't
time.
know. I didn't know until reading this that there's an entire chapter dedicated to Leviathan.
Right.
Like, that's insane to me.
Oh, not just a chapter, a lengthy chapter.
Yeah.
In which God really just all over the Leviathan.
Yeah. You want to describe the gesture you just made?
Nope.
Because it was kind
Everybody
of
knows.
like milking a cow.
Yeah. Well, I assume God has 2 dicks.
Because why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't he?
2 dicks and a womb.
And a
For
womb.
ice.
Yes. Just an ice womb.
An ice womb. Yeah.
Yep.
Is hermaphrodite a bad word? Is
I think
hermaphrodite?
it's a clinical term, but
Is
I
it?
don't think that people use it.
Okay. I don't know what
I think
else
they
you
call
would
them
use.
intersex. now.
Intersex.
Yes.
That makes more sense.
Yep.
So now we found out that God is intersex.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
With-
not just genderless. Intersex.
Well, that would make sense.
Like, does it?
Well, aren't we all made in the image of God?
I guess so.
Well.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
why do some of us have penises and some of us have vaginas?
Yeah. Well, because women sinned.
Oh, so our dicks fell off?
Yes. That's
and
you grew tits.
or inverted into our bodies or something.
Yeah, the dick got sucked up into your body and became tits.
Whoa.
Thus saith the Lord.
Yep. All right.
Anyway, with that, they all lived miserably ever after. Thank you so much for checking out our podcast. Help us share the good news by sending this to a friend or leaving a review to help others find us. And if you want to support us with a donation, you can do that on our website at bsfa.cc.
A sea monster.
What kind of a god would make a flat earth?